All right. Well, it's been a hot minute, as they say, since I've seen you guys, and had a little bit of spare time on this beautiful Sunday. So I thought I would touch base with y'all and talk about a work that I am currently involved in. So I'm studying Tractate Shabbos, which is the Mishnah as associated with the Sabbath, and it's very interesting. I've always been interested, I've got the 39 labors elucidated, etc., in other parts of my page here. Anyway, it's an interesting subject, and one of the sages said, turn it, and turn it again. So just when you think you've learned everything you can, which I don't think that by any means, but if you did, go ahead and restudy it, because you'll find something new, and I do find something new every time. So the book that I'm using is part of the Art Scroll series, Schottenstein edition. It is the Mishnah Elucidated, a phrase-by-phrase simplified translation with basic commentary. It's pocket-sized, and I really like that, and truly pocket-sized, not pocket-sized, but 6 inches across, and wouldn't fit in anything but maybe a lab coat. Anyway, it's a good little travel version. I took it with me the other day when I had to do a little traveling, and it came in very handy. So, the Mishnah, as you all probably know, was written in let me rephrase that. It was codified in the early Christian era. I would say probably by 200 or 300 at the latest. And in fact, I think the Talmud was done by then, so I would say even a little bit earlier. So maybe in the 200s. But the Mishnah and the Gemara, which is commentary on the Mishnah, combine to form the Talmud, which is the basic extra-biblical work that Jews use to explain much of what is in the Torah. And I think that this tractate, in fact this chapter, brings out nicely the fact that such a work is needed, and this actually came up the other day as what made me think about it, but the only prohibited labor mentioned explicitly in the Torah is lighting a fire. Yet we have 39 labors plus the sub-labors, etc., that fit into that category. If it was just lighting a fire was the only prohibition on Shabbat, then there would be little to make it special outside of the average workday. And in fact, when we got to the holidays, there would be nothing, because on the holidays, of course, other than Yom Kippur, you are allowed to cook. So you're allowed to start a fire and cook your food, but all the other prohibitions remain intact. So the book points out the basic difference between Zakor and Shomer. Zakor is to honor, to set apart. I don't know the exact translation, but basically all of those rolled into one. And Shomer is to guard. In fact, somebody who observes the Sabbath is Shomer, Shabbat, or a guardian of the Sabbath. So let's get started. I want to start with the general introduction. This is page 3 of the Mishnah Elucidated, a phrase-by-phrase simplified translation with basic commentary. The Torah commands the Jewish people to observe Shabbos in two ways: to declare the day holy, which is fulfilled by reciting the Sabbath with prayers and with Kiddush. We have a ceremony basically welcoming in the Sabbath. It involves bread and wine and several blessings. And I think I've pointed out to you before that these blessings are interesting in that, for instance, with the wine, the blessing is who creates the fruit of the vine, and then with bread, it is who brings forth bread from the earth. Now, in neither case does God directly do those things, but rather we work in tandem with God, which is always the plan of the Bible, to make the world a better place, make bread, eat, etc. And it makes the, in quotation marks, curses of Adam and Eve, such as to sweat of your brow for food, etc., kind of brings them into a little bit different light. But anyway, I digress. In Kiddush, and to refrain from labor. However, the Torah does not explicitly say what labor means in this context. And this is one of, and there are several, obvious references to why some explanation, some oral tradition given by God would be necessary to understand exactly what those labors are, because as we've pointed out, the only prohibition explicit in the Torah is lighting a fire, Exodus 35:3. The definition of this term is derived by the sages from Exodus 35:1 through 4, where the Torah repeats the prohibition against performing labor immediately before it describes the construction of the Mishkan, or the temple, the tent of meeting in the desert. By mentioning these two subjects together, the Torah hints that the labors prohibited on Shabbos are those that were necessary for building the Mishkan and its contents. And that's Gemara 49b with Rashi. Delving into the commentary, the 39 categories of prohibited labor. The Mishnah's term for a labor forbidden on Shabbat is melacha. Mishnah 7:2 lists the labors performed in the construction of the Mishkan and gives their total as 39. These 39 melachot are actually 39 categories of labor, and we'll delve into that here shortly. Activities similar to those 39 are also prohibited. Avos, primary labors, and toledot, derived labors. Since the 39 listed in the Mishnah are the source of all the forbidden labors, they are known as avos melachos. Now, avot, you might recognize that term from Pirkei Avot, which is ethics of the fathers. So basically think about these melachot as the main categories, the parent of the other labors, thus the primary labors. Let's see, underneath on the notes, the Mishkan tabernacle was the portable tent or temple that the Israelites carried with them during their 40-year journey in the desert. And it said what I just said, literally fathers of labor. Okay, or simply avot, singular of. Activities that are forbidden because they are similar to one of these 39 are known as toledot, derivatives, derivative labors, and singular is toledah. Toledos are also biblically prohibited, and one who performs any one of them is liable to the same penalties as the one who performs one of the avot. For example, the first of the 39 labors, avot, melachos, is planting. This is a category of labor that includes not only planting a seed or sapling in the ground, but also other activities that cause vegetation to grow, such as watering a plant or soaking grains in water. These last two activities are toledos of the melachah of planting. Rambam, Hilchos Shabbos 8.2. And then it goes into the liable and exempt. Basically, liable simply means that if you do it, you must bring a particular offering, and exempt indicates that you do not bring that offering. They do not, it does not pertain to whether you are guilty or not guilty. I guess that was one of my misconceptions many years ago and early on when I would read and they say that the person was liable. Then I thought, well, since many of these laborers are by stoning, or the person is guilty and therefore is liable to death by stoning, that's what the libel meant, but it doesn't. It talks about the bringing the offering. Then it talks about inadvertent and deliberate transgressions. One who performs the melachot on Shabbat has committed a capital offense punishable by stoning. As with all capital crimes, one cannot be executed unless he acted deliberately, that is, with knowledge that what he was doing is prohibited. In addition, he is not executed unless he sinned in the presence of two qualified witnesses immediately after they warned him that the act is forbidden and which punishment it carries. If any of these conditions are not met, the perpetrator is not executed by a human court. Rather, he is subject to punishment of caries, which is imposed, trying to think of the right word. It may be underneath. Hold on a second. Which is imposed by the heavenly court. A person who performs a malachah inadvertently is not liable to the death penalty or to karas, but he must bring a chaddis offering to atone for his wrongdoing. Also mentioned, I think, in times past that atonement tends to bring the land, and the temple, and the precinct, so to speak, back into a condition in which the Almighty can dwell there. Atonement is not a personal thing. It is a group thing. I mean, you may have to atone for one of your sins, but that affects the precinct, so to speak, not necessarily your own soul or whatever terminology you wanted to use. Let's see, is there anything underneath? The punishment of karis, literally cutting off, takes one or more of several forms: the premature death of the sinner, the loss of his future generations, or the loss of his place in the world to come. So that's kind of where I stopped. And the next section is calculated labor. If you're interested in the Mishnah at all, I really recommend this series. It's really good, and I think you'd enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed this short visit with you. It's been a while, and really just wanted to put something together so that we could interact again. Any comments below, like, etc. If you like it. If not, my hope is that you enjoyed it and you learned something from it. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Shavua Tov.